All right, team, welcome to our first screencast for Wheel of Fortune. If you're not familiar with the game and the TV show and how it's played, there is an example video in the rubric and also a description of the game. So you should be sure to check that out. And there is also a document with pseudocode for the components that we're going to be working on. So for this video, we're just going to talk about the component to receive user input. So when the user presses a key as a guess, then we check and see if that is in the word that we've chosen. So in order to do that, we are going to be using a magic function in Khan Academy called key pressed. Key pressed is going to be similar to like mouse moved and draw and some of the others that we've seen. It has a special variable that comes along with it called key. And so I'm just gonna give an example of how this works. So I'm just gonna create some text and I'm gonna give it the key and I'm just gonna put it at 100, 100. In order to get key pressed working, you actually need to click into the canvas, the area on the right. I need to give it a fill. So when I press a key in that position, and now they're all on top of each other. So let's actually give it the mouse X and the mouse Y. So now wherever I put the mouse, that's where the key will be. So if I hit G, a G will go there. If I hit R, R will go there, right? So key is this special value. So let's get rid of all that. And so key pressed is going to be this useful function, and this is what we're going to use to receive user input. Now, in the context of Wheel of Fortune, it's similar to Hangman in the sense that there is some chosen word, and I'm not gonna give you a bunch of code here to create a dictionary of words and randomly choose one. You're going to need to figure that part out. So right now, I'm just showing you how this component works. For this component, we need a chosen word. I am going to loop over all the letters in the chosen word, and I'm going to see if any of them is equal to the key that has been pressed. And if it is, then that's a hit. I'm going to call it a hit or a correct guess. And if not, I'm going to actually add it to something called wrong guesses. And so I'm going to create another variable called wrong guesses. And it's going to be an array, and just an empty array for now. This is going to hold all the wrong guesses that I have. So let's just create something to keep track of whether or not we have a hit. Then down here, we're going to say if there was a hit. For now, I'm not actually going to do anything. If there is not a hit, that means the letter didn't appear anywhere. I'm just going to add the letter to wrong guesses. So we know from the arrays that we want to push it in there. And then I'm actually going to call this other special function on key called toString, and without going into too much detail on that, in order to get kind of the useful value that the key is, we're going to call the toString function on it. So we're going to store the string value. When I was passing it into text, that toString was actually getting called automatically. So key is actually an object that has some special properties, but we just want the string value. So in here, I want to loop over my, the chosen word and check for hits. Check for hits, right? So I'm going to do this with a for loop. I'm going to just use an I as a counter, and it's going to be less than chosen word dot length and I plus plus. And if you remember, I can now access each letter by checking the index in chosen word. So I'm going to have an if here, and if key, and again I'm going to call toString, is equal to chosen word at the index which I am currently at in my loop, then I am going to say hit equals true. And what is it? I thought you were going to type an assignment. Oh, I had a little bit of Java syntax in there. And for now, I'm just gonna put some text on the screen that says there was a hit at 100, and let's draw the background, oops, each time so that we can see that happening. But let's do it something a little lighter. So the first letter I hit, and I typed a T. Let's actually print. Let's go ahead and print just so you can see the letter that I am typing. So let's restart, and so I'm going to type T again, and it's really small, but you can see here this isn't super helpful. Let's make the fill black. So if I type T, T, which is getting printed right here by this text, so it's going to come into this loop and it's going to say there is a T, so the hit becomes true, and I could even put this down here. So now if I type M, and you can see the M is also a hit, but if I type Y, there's no hit, right? And so we're gonna have a little bit more functionality around what to do with wrong guesses. We're gonna print them to the screen, and keeping track of the hits. At the moment, we're not keeping track of it, but we're going to have an array of placeholders for each letter in the chosen word, and we're going to get to that in the next component. But for this part, for just receiving the user input, this is all we need. We're not going to end up having the background and all of this in there when we get to the game. But as far as receiving user input, this is really it. And so some of the components that you've seen before, we have a loop, looping over all the letters in the chosen word. We have a condition here, checking if the letter at the index at which we are, so starting at the 0 index, so starting at M, it's going to see if key is equal to that, and then U, and then S, and it's going to go through the rest of the letters in the word, and it's going to set hit to true for each of those. So this is it for this this component, and we're going to show you 3 more components as we go through.